You're welcome to Module 3, where we're going to be talking about recruiting, onboarding, and training your volunteers. I'll show you how to build your dream fundraising team one volunteer at a time. Now, why do you need volunteers? The reality is this: volunteers are fundraising multipliers. You can't be everywhere. You can't do everything. And again, you didn't join this work to fundraise. You actually joined this work to build an organization to create impact. So you need volunteers that can help you execute. Plus, the fact that you are actually busy with work, you have a family you have to take care of, you have other important aspects of your life you need to focus on. If you are so consumed doing this work, a lot of things will suffer. But when you have a system that helps you execute, you tend to create more results and you can focus on the things that are most important to you. And that's why you need volunteers. Volunteers would help you expand your capacity. On a day-to-day basis, you have people who are executing for you. They would help you bring new energy into your work, bring in new networks and creativity. Plus, they will allow you to focus on strategy and leadership. So like I said, volunteers, you bring them in not because you want your organization to be run by volunteers consistently, but you want to be able to build capacity. You want to start bringing in money so that you can turn them into full-time staff, or go bring in full-time fundraising staff who can run your fundraising system consistently. So if you're running your organization alone, if you're executing alone, you need volunteers. Now, this is what you will learn in this module. You will learn the volunteer recruitment process. You will learn how to onboard these volunteers. You will learn how to train them. And of course, you will learn how to lead them and hold them accountable. Now, recruitment. How do you bring in these volunteers? You need 3 core volunteers that are going to work with you. You need one to execute your individual fundraising campaign. You need another to execute your corporate fundraising campaign. And of course, you need one to execute your grants, research, and writing program. Now, how do you bring them in? You have to clarify the skills you need. You need volunteers with ability to write and communicate clearly. You need volunteers with the ability to research and analyze. You need volunteers with social media and outreach skills. You need volunteers with marketing skills and great storytelling skills. And of course, they should be able to manage time and manage themselves reliably. Where to find volunteers? You can find volunteers on LinkedIn, Catchify, Idealist, Volunteer Match, Facebook and WhatsApp groups, university volunteer boards, and local community networks. But I'll tell you one secret. Most of the volunteers I find are found on LinkedIn. I simply put out my job outreach using my LinkedIn page, targeting volunteers, putting some money behind it, could be $100, and within 2 days, you have lots of people applying in already with skills that are eager to serve, because either they want to grow in their career or they are looking for a way to apply themselves before they get a full-time job. So the volunteer recruitment process. The very first step, which is not here, is to actually create your volunteer recruitment application form. In the resources we're giving in this module, it's part of it. You find the volunteer application form. You can either take the Google form we provided you and adopt it into yours, or you can actually take the content and create your own form in PDF copy that you can send out for people to apply. But I advise do the Google form because that's a lot easier. The next step is to post your volunteer listing. You can't post it on LinkedIn for free. LinkedIn is going to allow that run, and a lot of people are going to see it for free. But if you really want quality people applying and getting to lots of people, you can put some money behind it for $100 or so, and you get lots of people applying. We'll also put together the Volunteer Fundraising Fellowship content that you can post in these different platforms, LinkedIn, Idealist, Volunteer Match, so that people can see the value of volunteering and apply. You can also share it in groups and with partners or, whichever organization or assets you have. Put it out there. We also have social media posts created for you. You can adopt and put out. Once applicants fill the application form, yours is to look through the applicants and then shortlist those you'll be inviting for interviews. I would say select 3 to 5 or select 3 to 6 top volunteers you're looking for. Since the 3 skills you need are individual donors, corporate funders, and grantors, you could pick 2 quality people for individual donors, 2 quality people for corporate funding, and 2 quality people for grants applications, so that when you interview, you have the opportunity to pick one of these 2 people for any of these roles. Now, conducting the interviews, you need to be very strategic when conducting the interviews, right? You're talking to volunteers, so you have to be strategic. You should be asking their questions like, what are you passionate about, right? What are your goals? What do you hope to achieve with your life? What are your career goals? What skills do you want to develop through this program? How do you manage your time when working remotely? These questions are going to give you a frame of the person you're dealing with, so that you know how to engage them and move them forward as they begin to volunteer with your organization. Once they pass through the interview, you have to invite them in for an onboarding session. So you're going to have to onboard these volunteers by guiding them through their job portfolios, sending them, whatever agreement they have to sign, so that they go through it and actually sign it up. Of course, most volunteers are actually not allowed to sign agreements, but we actually put together what we call the agreement and confidentiality form that you can adopt and send to them, so that they just put in their names as a means of signing, and that holds them bound to your organization's core values, your confidential information, and all that. So send them a welcome email, introduce them to your mission, guide them through their job portfolio, guide them through the fundraising plan and what their role is going to be in executing that plan, and then of course schedule a team orientation call. So we've put together content for you to guide the entire team through the orientation call. We've also put content for you to guide these volunteers through the onboarding session, so that you are actually on top of the whole process. Training the volunteers. The training is actually done on an individual level because each one has their role. So they receive training manual for their roles, which we've also created for you to adopt. They receive templates and scripts to execute each task. That's if you created your content and templates already. And of course, weekly check-ins and guidance. If you've not created your content already, you can work with them to actually create those content. Now, assign the fundraising process. This is it. Your volunteers, like I said in the second module, their main areas are the know, like, and trust, plus follow-up. They are not actually there to make the ask, because most of them don't even have the experience yet to help you make the ask. It is your job to make the ask. So the job of the volunteers is to attract these opportunities to you, so that when you go into those meetings, you can make the ask. Of course, as these volunteers grow and become, more confident with the process, you can begin to guide them to make the ask. So, like I also said, even if it's an automated process and it's time to make the ask, you want to be on top of the process. So you have to instruct your volunteers, once you execute this campaign, the know, like, and trust, I want to be able to I want to be aware when it's time to make the ask, so that I follow up on that process. That's going to make you, ensure that you're making the ask right way, because that's really where the money is. And of course, your board could help with stewardship. Like I said, your board could call in, send out emails thanking them, appreciating them, following up with them, reporting progress, and then making the ask again. Your volunteers could also help with the follow-up. So after you've made the ask, the person does not give, your volunteers could start executing the follow-up process with the materials you've already provided them. Now, reporting and accountability. Every week, volunteers need to submit what we call the summary of contacts made, because volunteers are not just helping you execute the corporate funding outreach, the individual donors or grant outreach. They're also helping you research prospective donors, research prospective funders, and building a list. So every week, they have to tell you, these are the numbers of contacts we brought in, these are the actions we took, these are the emails we sent out, the follow-ups we did, and then, of course, the next week go. So we have a volunteer reporting template you can adopt, so that they fill up this template every week, and then that gives you a view of what's happening. And of course, you can be able to meet with them maybe once a week, or once every 2 weeks, or once in a month, so that you're following up and keeping in top of the entire process. Motivation and retention. You must keep your volunteers motivated. And some of the ways we do keep our volunteers motivated, for example, even during the outreach, we tend to make sure they know that they are only executing for 5 hours in a week, which is 1 hour per day, Monday to Friday. We also help them see that we're going to be taking care of their monthly, internet costs, which is usually within $50 a month. That's very important because you want to keep them, appreciative to the organization. You could also offer certificates and mentorship. You offer trainings, right? And of course, opportunity to grow into full-time roles within your organization. These are opportunities you should be able to offer these volunteers to keep them motivated. Of course, recognizing their efforts is also very important, not just their achievements, their efforts. You sent out 5 emails this week. Wow, thank you. That was so great. You have to be appreciative of their effort, because it's when you appreciate their effort, they take more effort. And when they take more effort, that's when results comes in. So you must recognize their efforts and achievements publicly. Do it across social media. Talk about it. Let them feel appreciated. Provide real experience for their resume. Train them, guide them, put them into the field so that they can take action. And, that's the way they can begin to build themselves. So what's your takeaway from this module? Recruit purpose-driven people. Put out your volunteer outreach content. It's targeted at bringing in purpose-driven people. Onboard with clarity and structure. Onboard them. Give them their job portfolio tools they need to execute. Train using your Prebute system. Train them. We have an entire framework to train each of these volunteers, individuals, corporates, and grantors. And of course, communicate weekly and celebrate efforts and progress. So this is it. With this step done, you should be able to know what to do to recruit your volunteers, and you have all the materials available to you to execute this process, from the volunteer outreach content to the onboarding scripts, to the onboarding guide, to the training materials, to the training guide, to the job portfolio, to the agreement and confidentiality form. Basically, everything you need to execute this process is already made available to you. Go download them, begin to execute immediately, and I'll tell you, the next 2-3 days you already have your volunteers in, so that you can schedule their onboarding the next week and then start their training the same next week, and by the 3rd week they're already in executing with you. So let's go on to module 4, where we'll talk about launching your fundraising campaign with these volunteers. I'll see you in module 4. Congratulations for finishing this module.